Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm resident of Collinwood. I'm here with at under slash Barnabas. Um, we're here to discuss Dark Shadows and the new Ghost in the Shell coming to Netflix. So what are your thoughts on the new Ghost in the Shell, man?
I'm really excited about it, actually. I was a huge fan of the movie, and that was where I got started with uh, being a fan of Ghost in the Shell. I'd never watched the anime, the 1995 anime, before until after the movie was released, and I saw the movie about three times in theaters, and ever since then, I've really enjoyed it. I've watched it many times, and Um, I'm really excited about the new show. I loved what episodes I did see of Standalone Complex. I think it's going to be really good. I'm excited about it.
Are you hoping for any like new protagonist?
Um, I would be fine if they had a story about the Major. Um,
Right.
but I also really, really like the character of Bato. Uh, I have to say that I kind of liked him better and found him a little more interesting. So I would like to see him get a good share of storylines, and not just the Major. But I'm sure it's in good hands, and it will be fine either way, and I'll enjoy it. But I would like to see a little bit more of Bato.
Yeah, Richard. For those who don't know, Richard Epcar voiced Bato in the 1995 movie. He also voiced him in the um, Innocence movie as well, Part 2, Ghost of Shell 2. What's interesting is now there is an English dub of Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, but it's sold only in England. And, but he did voice the character in Part 2. And when they announced the series, he said he wanted to be a part of it. So I've always found it interesting. He's been willing to come back. Do you
Right.
do you think they'll get any of the original cast back?
Um, I, I'm sure that he would be willing to come back. I know Mary Elizabeth McGlynn of course, was great as the voice of the Major. Um, I would be okay with it though if they got an all new cast, and I figure that's probably what they're going to do. Just my best guess. Um, I would be okay with that. Actually, I would kind of favor that. As much as I love the classic voices, I think it would be good to kind of pass the torch down and give someone else a try, because it's a new generation. That was 1995, and Innocence was within the next 10 years afterwards. So I think it would be a good idea to do a whole new recast. And but I would be fine either way. But I guess I'm more in the camp. I would like a new set of voices, a new set of actors, and um, just to bring some nuance to everything.
You're not alone in that camp. I feel anytime when I hear the word new,
Hmm.
anytime I hear the word new, I go, well, hopefully they're going to have all new actors, all new stories to tell. Because I feel the one thing you don't want to do with the series, and I'm a Dragon Ball fan as well.
Yeah,
You don't want to circle back to the same set of characters. You
exactly.
gotta. To me, any story is about expanding your universe. I mean, we love the characters of the Major, Bato, Saito, Ishikawa, all of them.
Right.
But to me, in my opinion, if Adult Swim would have picked up a season 3, I feel we would have got the story of the new recruits, the ones they were training in season 2.
Right. Right. And actually, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, this is where I first heard of Ghost in the Shell. There was a PlayStation game, a PlayStation 1 game, where you played as a new recruit. And I thought that was interesting. You didn't really play as, the main characters that you see in the anime. You play a brand new character. You make the character. And I think that would be a good, that would have been a good thing for a season 3 of SAC.
Yeah,
I
what's
really do.
yeah, what's funny about that too is as soon as they released it, it went right to the PS2 as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, I rented the game actually. I didn't buy it, and you're right. Yeah, they had you play as a rookie, as basically whoever you know, like a random character, if you will. And I always found that interesting. I feel that's what, though, too, that's what makes the game exciting. You know, while you want to play as
Right,
a main character, you know, you always can't get what you want. Sometimes you got to get what you take.
right. And it's just the same way. Like I think they took the same approach in a mobile version of the Ghostbusters game in 2009, where instead of the four main characters, you got to play a rookie in training, and I thought that was a fun way to take that game. It was a different spin, and it was like what you would do if you were in their shoes, and everything. And the same way with the PlayStation game, I thought it was a fun way to approach the story and be immersed inside the universe. So I thought that was really cool.
It does seem like there are games that are taking the either the rookie aspect of that or the create your own character and go from like beginning, which is really I don't mind so much. So I gotta ask you this:
Mhm.
what do you want to see in maybe a new Dark Shadows movie or a series?
Um, I would like to see. Um, I really, really loved the way, and I believe that they were underrated. The beginning episodes, I felt that they were. I really loved the character of Victoria Winters, and my wife really, really got me focused on the character of Victoria Winters, where usually people focus when it's on the female characters. It's usually Maggie Evans or Angelique, and my wife kind of got me thinking about Victoria Winters and how important of a character she was. I would like to see a little bit less of Barnabas, at least to begin with, and I would like to see them set up the other characters and not so much start off with the vampire story like the 1991 series. I loved all the episodes, but I would like to have a little bit of time and build up to whenever they would decide to bring Barnabas in.
Mhm.
I would like to start off with just Collinsport as a gothic town, some mystery suspense, and then start bringing in Barnabas and the others, Quentin, um, which was absent from the 91 series. There wasn't much of anything to do with the werewolf, so I would like to see it kind of take a little bit of a slow burn and take its time before they bring the main character in.
I really enjoyed Victoria myself, Alexandra Moltke or Alexandra Isles, whatever you want to call her.
Mm-hmm.
They when I became hooked in with her was when I first saw her on that damn train. I'm just like, I'm just like, I was taken, and I feel
Yeah,
that's something they always did with her. There's fascination and obsession with that character long before. And I used to, my brother used to tease me. He goes, Dark Shadows was nothing but a vampire show. I'm like, and I looked at him one day, and I swear to God, I was like, listen, jackass. I'm like, it was about. I said there was this girl named Victoria Winters. It was about her first, and he's like, it was.
exactly.
He didn't know he was messing with me, and I'm like, he's like, really, was it? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Go Google it, and he did, and then he's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, my bad, and I'm like, I knew he was busting my balls, and it's like, I know what he's gonna go do. He's gonna go Google it, and I told him, and he's like, okay, now I see. I was like, all right. But I think they did such a great job with her. I do feel they got away from her character, to be fair to her. I would
Right.
the one thing I do want to see like in a movie is if they could is try to convince her Alexander Isles to do her role, Victoria Winters. I feel they
That would
could
be fantastic.
I feel they could do it one last time with her and just build the character. And the best way to do it is make her character like, look, she could travel through time, have her come back through time, and have her have amnesia, not know who the hell she is, and then build her from there. But
Right.
again, it's a lot of if, and I love for a series. what I love most out there right now is the Return of Dark Shadows, because it's a lot. There are familiar characters, but there's new characters as well. So I sort of love that right now. I wouldn't mind them doing a series off of that. What that dude's wrote, John Philip Betancourt.
Right. I agree completely. And while I do appreciate the audio dramas, I really love how he keeps very very tight continuity, and he's really expanded on the world where. I feel like the audio dramas, the continuity hit and misses. There are some that connect, but I really like what he's doing. I think he's doing an amazing job with what he's written.
Hey man, listen, you should do a review of the audio dramas, because I'm going to give you this. I have not listened to one bit of the audio dramas at all. So I would definitely like to hear that on your channel, man.
Okay, thank you. I've actually listened to one. I had the one that Jonathan Frid uh, actually came and returned as Barnabas with Barbara Steele.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty interesting. I've heard a lot of fans say that it wasn't their favorite, but I got it just because of Jonathan Frid. Um, I love his voice, and it was great to see him return as Barnabas. Even if it was behind a camera, just at least one last time. I
Yeah.
thought it was fantastic.
I think the most, and I know I've been touchy about it myself over the years. I do own the DVD as the 2012 movie. I've said this, I don't hate Johnny Depp. I feel he gets a lot of heat for no reason. I don't feel it's totally his doing. I feel it's more they just didn't take the time to do their homework and do what they wanted to do. How do you feel about it?
Um, I agree. I think that Johnny was really a great choice to be Barnabas. I think to me the villain of the movie was Seth Grahame-Smith. I felt that um, I really think that he did a disservice with the script. I really have two parts of the movie that I liked, and the first part was the Knights in White Satin when Victoria's on the train, and it
Hmm.
starts very similarly, where you have Victoria as the surrogate, to where she introduces you to the Collins family, and then unfortunately her character is pretty much dropped for the rest of the film. And then I like the cameo when they had the party at Collinwood, but I felt that Johnny could have been great if they could have given them a good script, but I don't think that Seth Grahame-Smith really knows how to make a good one, just in my opinion. And I've looked at his other works, and I'm just not really a fan. Um, and one thing that, if I could make a casting choice and switch, I really would have thought that Michael Keaton would have been a good Roger Collins. And I
Hmm.
know he's been with a lot of Tim Burton movies. I think that Michael Keaton would have been a good choice for Roger. Um, but unfortunately, I just felt like all the characters didn't get enough time, and it was wasted. And I think there was maybe some ambition there, but there was just not enough of a good script to really make the movie great as it could have been. So,
Yeah,
especially with Julia Hoffman's character, I think the biggest crime of the movie was her character.
I think anytime you do characters and you're doing Dark Shadows, if they ever do a movie, and I said this to my wife in 2012, I said this should be a three-movie set. Basically, in a sense, where there was the Dark Knight trilogy, there should be the Dark Shadows trilogy.
I
And
agreed.
and the thing of it is, they didn't do that. And my wife goes, "Well, how would you even begin to do that?" I said, "Well, first of all, I said you don't you do start off in the future, but you don't start off in 1960s." I said, if you're gonna do a Dark Shadows movie in 2012, set it in 2012 and
Right.
tell that story of the Collins family living there now, who they are, each of them. And then one day, one night, there's just a pound on the goddamn door, and wait till the end of the movie, and there's Barnabas. and
right.
your next movie is telling, now how did that happen, and then your third movie is the finale. So
Hmm.
that would have been my suggestion to them. I did love, the one thing I wanted most when they casted Alice Cooper was, I wanted Alice Cooper to play Barnabas's father, and
That would have been good.
they just didn't do that. But
Right. Definitely a missed opportunity because uh, I think he would have done well in that, just like he did Freddy Krueger's dad. I think he would have done a good job in that role.
what do you think of what's do you think we'll see in the new Ghost in the Shell series? I know I'm jumping, but
No, it's okay.
in the new Ghost in the Shell series, do you think we'll see a Chief Aramaki or no?
Um, I'm really not sure. Mm, I I really don't know, to be honest with you. I think it would be good um, if we did, but I don't know. I would really like to see. Uh, I guess what I would like to see is I would be fine with that. I really would like to see a new original villain. I guess is what I'm most hopeful for in the new series. Um, Not a repeat of the ones before. I would like to see a brand new villain. I guess that's what I'm looking forward to the most and most hopeful for in the series. How about you?
I think if they, for them to bring a new villain would be excellent. Antagonists always make your story good. And the one thing I'll say about the movie, and even in series that aired on Adult Swim, they always had interesting antagonists, not just the main ones, but the side ones. So that's something I want to see continue with this new series. New antagonist and an overall antagonist who is a legit threat. I thought
Right.
I thought Goda was really good. I thought, where Ghost in the Shell 2 gets a little bit of heat, I think, is they were trying to get into the Major's past. And I feel, why I hear the complaints, I get it, like less is more. It did make you
Hmm.
feel for that character. And
Right.
I don't feel it was a bad call. I just feel it was, there are fans that just weren't ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a little bit of a hard time following that one. I have a, an import DVD of the of part two, and I guess it was maybe a little. Um, it was a little cerebral, a lot more cerebral than I was anticipating because I was thinking of, I guess, more of an action uh, standpoint, like a lot like the first one was. There
Mm-hmm.
was, definitely some deep philosophy and everything inside that the first anime, but um, yeah, I think it was there was some of the story lost. I'm going to have to go back and try to watch it again to get the whole thing, but um, I had a hard time with that one, and I just went back to the original anytime I wanted to watch um, Ghost in the Shell or the 2017 movie. But I should probably give that one another try. Now that you mention it, I think I should probably try.
I will say this about Second Gig, the entire season. I have both seasons on DVD, and
Mhm.
with season two, what I'll say is you're right. The philosophy, it's very deep, and
Right,
their action. It's not that there's not action, like you said. There's action in certain parts. It's more they're getting into the psychology of the story, and
right.
I feel that's basically really, if they're going to do that, do that in a new series too. Don't,
Hmm.
psychology is what the cyberization to me is about, the psychology of it. So they were getting into her past of the psychology of how she became the way she was, and
True.
they were training her when they were training new recruits. There's that episode where Bato is drinking a beer, and
Hmm.
Togus is like, oh, he didn't have a completely prosthetic body. He just had, I believe, a brain, a cyber brain. He didn't have a body, but
Right.
he's like, oh, I wish I could just crush beers one right after another, and I started laughing. And that's when she like disappeared, she thought she got hacked, and
Right.
I really enjoyed what they did there with the little boy and little girl. She realized that little girl's me, she knew, and I'm thinking,
Hmm.
they're setting you up basically. And that's what I feel storytellers do. They set us up, like,
Right. Exactly.
So
And you being a writer, you definitely know that.
I set myself up sometimes, unfortunately, but I think that's the problem I have with myself. It's like there's times I look at it and like, what the hell am I doing? But
Same here, and it's been a few years since I've written a story. I pretty much just do. I have done like Dark Shadows fan fictions. Like I try to do like side stories to connect, um, you know, some plot holes or storylines that were dropped, and just try to bring some kind of closure to them. It's been a while since I've done that, but yeah, there would be times where I would just lay there and I'm like, oh, okay, what have I done? And I need to go back and fix this, or should I leave it alone? It's just yeah, a lot of tug of war when you do that, because you want to make something good, and then it's just like there's just a whole lot of thought process into it. That's for sure.
there is, and I will say, man, and I'll tell you this: write your story. Do what you want to do in your own story, because
Right.
that's the thing I'll tell any writer. Do your story, because if you don't, you're gonna regret it. And always,
Exactly.
always, believe in what you're doing. Even though at times you just want to look at it and go, huh? But because there's the one time, the very first story I wrote was a Dark Shadow story years and years ago, and
Uh-huh.
I thought, my first problem was, how the hell am I going to do this? And I, I, one day I was just watching TV and I'm thinking, wait a minute, Collinsport's a town, you dummy. And that's what I said to myself. I'm like, so I said, wait a second. I said, what do those people always talk about? Collinwood's always what? Haunted. It's always haunted.
Exactly.
I said,
That's the talk of the town.
right. So what if I took a paranormal investigation team and just sent them to Collinwood and had them investigate the house? So that's what I did. I took a team, like a team of 15 people, and I sent them. I just rushed them off to Collinwood. And the thing I changed, I said, there's got to be no one living there. And I
Right.
basically, so I killed everybody off. Like, no one's been living there since like 1960. So,
Right.
and I treated it as the 60 series never happened. And basically, Barnabas never got out. And
Oh, that's cool.
when the one dumbass who I called Matt, I let I just think of names and throw them to the wall, and
Uh-huh.
he accidentally opens the secret room. Well, the secret room, instead of it being like a one room, it had stairs. It had a dwindling staircase that I
Uh-huh.
added, and they went down. And the one guy says, "Damn, it feels like we're going down into hell." And I'm thinking, yeah, yeah, you are. You're not
Oh,
coming.
yeah.
You're not coming back either. But
Right.
so six people go down there. Six of the members go down there and they're filming. Well, they lost transmission because of the storm that I wrote in there.
Right.
They couldn't. The guy in the van, I can't see or hear you. I can't see or hear you. What's going on? So he couldn't see what they were doing and what was going on. And then they open that coffin, thinking, okay, what's in here? And they just see a guy and they see all this money. They see these jewels on him. Well, he grabs the jewels and Barnabas grabs his wrist and starts breaking his bones. And then he just makes it the longest night of their life, really.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel
That's pretty wicked.
I just feel that like I'll tell you, if you're gonna listen, man, write your heart out, and that's something I'll tell any writer.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely. I've had a story about Laura Collins that I've been wanting to
Nice.
write, and I've I felt like her continuity worked a lot better in the beginning episodes, where she
Hmm.
returns every 100 years, rather than when she came back later in the show. And I felt like it was more established. And I've had a story like the bare bones outline of something I'd like to do. Um, I've just got to. It's just taken me a while. I've got to figure out how to put some meat on the skeleton and really fill that story out. Which eventually it may, who knows, it may be another 3 years before I get this one finally finished. But um, yeah, I've got one that I've had in my mind. I feel like it's an interesting premise for Laura Collins' story, because um, to me, this was the first time that the Phoenix failed in her mission um, to kill her son and
Right.
to kill her heir. So what happens after that? So I thought that there's plenty of room for a good story to tell there, where you can kind of go anywhere, because with the Phoenix and the kind of creature that Laura was, there aren't too many rules that you're tied down to, so you can kind of create your own stories and um, your own theories of what would happen afterwards. Um, so yeah, I've had a good one. What I felt was a good one in mind. I've just got to figure out how to connect all the dots and bring some closure to the story. But I'll definitely let you know once that starts going.
Is there any crossovers you want to see with Dark Shadows?
Um, let's see. Um, oh my goodness. I'm kind of okay with Dark Shadows being its own thing,
Hmm.
because I feel like, um, and this isn't to sound disrespectful, but as as you can tell on the show, there's definitely a price to pay for getting smarter in Collinsport, because usually as soon as someone finds out something and they're not oblivious to things going on, uh, you know, Barnabas or someone shows up and and definitely kills them off. Poor Bill Malloy. Spoilers, but I think I don't know, maybe bringing some other universes in could, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say that they would like, I'll bring it up again, uh, what it would be like to cross over Ghostbusters with Dark Shadows, but I don't know. I can't really think of anything. What about you? Do you have some people in mind that you would like to see in the Dark Shadows universe?
I like how you said Ghostbusters because it's funny. One of the groups, Dark Shadows groups I'm in on Facebook, and they were saying about that, and I said, listen, the people at Collinsport weren't afraid. They busted their own goddamn ghost, but
Exactly.
you know, uh, the one, it's the other series we're mentioning. I wouldn't mind seeing Ghost in the Shell and Dark Shadows do a bit of a crossover because I
Hmm.
feel the one thing Ghost in the Shell sort of needed was a supernatural element to it. And
True.
what do you
Very
do
true.
when you take technology this so advanced and they meet something so old, like
Hmm.
that's superstitious or supernatural? What would they do with it? And mind you, I don't have anything in mind. I just some people say the show's supernatural, where the brothers on the show could have did a crossover, and yeah, I could have seen that, but I
Oh,
wouldn't.
definitely.
I wouldn't have minded it for sure, but definitely something like Ghost in the Shell or um, the one thing that somebody else put was Quantum Leap, and I could have seen that as well. But
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's a good one.
yep,
That's a really good one.
yep. Um, have you seen all the episodes of Quantum Leap?
I haven't. I've seen a few, um, but it's been such a long time. I was really disappointed, because I've been wanting to watch the show and give it another try. And there's a thrift store where my parents live, where they have a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays on sale for $1. And I got there a few minutes late. Usually, if you get there right when they open, is when you really make a good haul.
Yep.
And uh, there was someone that got there before me, and lo and behold, they had the entire series of Quantum Leap in a box set, brand new, hadn't been opened, and they got it for $1. So I missed out big time. But yeah, that would have. I would like to go back to. I would like to go back to that episode, to that series, and watch it all, because the episodes that I did see were very, very good. I thought that was a very cool premise for a show. You know, Donald P. Bellisario he never disappoints. I don't think he's ever written anything bad.
No, but I'll tell you the one thing he's always been wanting to do, though, and if he sort of hinted at it with NCIS over the years,
Uh
is
huh.
they, if you notice in NCIS, every now and again, who do they mention? MacGyver.
Exactly.
And they've always been wanting to get Richard Dean Anderson on as a guest star. And I don't
Uh huh.
know why they haven't, or they just can't. I don't know what. But somebody was telling me, well, there's a new MacGyver series, and they're trying to, they've sort of crossed over with the NCIS Los Angeles. I'm thinking, so wait a minute, MacGyver, NCIS Los Angeles, Hawaii Five O, and all that. That's all part of the one universe down there. Like, yeah. I'm like, well, how's that going to work for NCIS? Because they've mentioned MacGyver as a character.
Right.
You know, I said, where's your continuity there? And
Exactly.
but I was just like, please explain that to me. I'm like, I've watched all of NCIS pretty much, but which for those who don't know, Zivo returned, but um, so. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they're trying to get him on, or they're just trying to have the character on?
Um, I'm not really sure. I think that they would be satisfied with having Richard Dean Anderson on.
Hmm.
I think Lucas Till is good as MacGyver. Um, I think I like the shows that Peter Linkoff is doing, the 5-0 Magnum
Hmm.
and MacGyver. I enjoy those very, very much. Um, but yeah, I think they would definitely hold out for Richard Dean Anderson if they could get him on. So I'm like you. I don't know much that he's doing now. I think Stargate has pretty much run its course, but
Uh,
uh, yeah, I don't. I can't figure out what he's holding out for.
I,
So I don't know.
I know
I don't
he's
know. I guess maybe he doesn't want to return as MacGyver. Who
I,
knows?
I know he's mainly doing voiceover anime stuff like everybody else, and
Uh huh.
he was at a con. Here's I'll give a little insight, and they said, why don't you step back in front of the camera? And he jokingly said, I got rolls, kid. I'm out of shape. I can't do that stuff no more. And he is, and I'm like, yeah, but we'd still. I'm thinking of my mind, yeah, but we'd still love to see you, dude. It's all good.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. Look at Mark Hamill. I mean, they definitely whipped him into shape.
Yeah.
For the for the new Star Wars sequel trilogy. But um, yeah, I mean, everybody was just glad to see him. I don't think they cared. So yeah, and same thing with Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. I think people would just really enjoy seeing him back in that role. I think that would be great.
It's funny, Harrison Ford now, he's just happy to be killed off. Like you can sign Harrison Ford as long as you kill him off.
Exactly.
It's like wait a second.
Exactly.
It's like wait a second, what? you know. But what are your thoughts on um the Star Wars prequels? I know we both like them.
Mhm. I think they're fine. Um, I'm not a fan of Episode Two.
Mm-hmm.
That one's probably my yeah. Actually, it definitely is my least favorite Star Wars movie. I don't hate it, but I liked it more before Episode Three came out because it started so many it opened up so many mysteries and so many questions. And I was thinking that when Episode Three came out, it was going to answer all these questions and it was going to be a lot more grand. And now, when if I ever get an urge to watch Episode Two, which I may have watched it probably not even 5 times in the last 10 years, um, it's just, I don't know, it's just a bit of a drag to me. But I love the Phantom Menace. I know my wife's heard me talk about it a lot the last couple of months. The Phantom Menace is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I loved Revenge of the Sith, but as far as prequels go, the Phantom Menace was my favorite. I felt like it was more of a Star Wars story in line with uh, the original trilogy. I thought it was a perfect marriage of practical and digital effects.
Hmm.
Um, I really, really enjoyed the story, the characters, everything about it. And overall, I'm pleased with the prequels, except for Episode 2. I just felt like there was really not very much that happened. Um, I thought Obi-Wan's journey was a bit more interesting than Anakin's. Um, but yeah, 1 and 3 I thought were fantastic.
I think too they were more going through the motions of trying to get the three, is what I'll say. That
Yeah,
of just trying to get it to that point of getting the three, getting Anakin over to the dark side. The one
hmm,
thing I liked about two, though, the one thing I think stole two is Padme and Anakin's relationship the most. I think that's the one
yeah,
thing I take away two that was good. That
right,
if I could take one thing that really helped three, it was that. And
right.
I'm with you. The Phantom Menace is just really good because it's holy shit. It anytime I hear the word racing scene, I'm thinking I'm there, I'm
Yep.
I'm there, you
Same
know.
here.
But it's exciting, and the second one they're more doing your. It's more like a story. It's like storyboard. I'm going. Could we just get the three? But I will say this. I'll tell you who steals two real quick is Yoda. I did like Yoda in two, but
Yeah,
um, I'm with you. Other than that, I just feel two. It just feels like they're dragging it out, and
yeah.
but 1 and 3 are really good. I don't mind two, but yeah,
Hmm.
you know, that's I'm with you on
Yeah,
it.
I think my favorite scene in 2 is definitely when Anakin is in the Tusken Raider camp.
Hmm.
Um, whenever I think of 2, that's the first thing I think of, because that's, to me, that seemed like the most logical thing to be in the movie, and definitely an important scene. Um, so when I think of Episode 2, that's usually the first thing that I think about, is the scene of him in the Tusken Raider camp. I thought that was very, very important, and it really presented a good moral conflict, because if that was you in that situation, and you know your mother was tortured and murdered, how would that affect you? And you had these powers and um, these abilities. Why wouldn't you lash out and have revenge? So it was. I thought it was a really, really good scene, a very, very important scene, and very well done.
I was. It's funny you say it because when after he did that, and then they like went to go rescue uh, Obi-Wan. I'm thinking,
Uh-huh.
just channel all that anger you had with your mother and kick some ass, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
I'm with you. That scene, he lost it. So,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed that. I feel Hayden Christensen doesn't get enough credit for playing the role he played. I feel they aged the
Right.
character well within from 2 to 3. That
Hmm.
I applaud them. They did. I feel I don't. The sequels now. The way I look at it is, they're not bad, but I sort of miss George Lucas.
Oh, I understand.
you
I
know,
understand. I mean, you definitely feel, whether good or bad, there definitely is a different feel um, without him being involved. Um, I felt like Rogue One was more had a little bit more of a George Lucas feel
hmm.
than any of the ones that Disney um, has put out. But yeah, you can definitely feel a different tone um, than when George had his hands in the mix. Um, Now, as far as the special editions, I'm okay with some of the changes. I prefer the unaltered, the originals, but I think George did pretty well with his prequels, and I'm glad, no matter what you think of him, I think it was good for him to go back and finish the story like he said that he always wanted to tell.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a pretty good job overall.
I feel with like the trilogy we got now, it feels this. It maybe call me crazy, but I feel it. It feels like I don't know shorter because they did the prequel. They did the like the standalone movies like Han Solo and the Rogue One. I
Right.
wish this would have been more like a television series that take it to television and tell your full story than three separate movies. We're just going through the motions.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit of oversaturation,
Right.
um, where there was just too much at once, and you know, no matter what a lot of people felt about the Last Jedi, I felt like Solo got a bum deal because a lot of people were still processing how they felt over the Last Jedi, and it was just I don't know, it was just too much, too fast, and I think they need to have a little bit of breathing room in between. And just like where the prequels and the original trilogy, I thought 3 years was a good simmer time in between,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to have to have time to look forward to things and digest everything. So, um, but yeah, I'm glad that Disney's going to kind of take a break after Rise of Skywalker and just let the series, kind of simmer a little bit.
If if you could cast a new Victoria Winners today, who would you cast?
Oh my goodness. I would think, um, oh my goodness. I would think probably Natalie Dormer because I've seen her play, and I would like to see. Something I would love to see at some point, if they ever did another Dark Shadow series, was I would love to see the parallel time. That was the very first
Mm,
storyline I ever saw in Dark Shadows, and I've seen Natalie Dormer play very, very good and very, very evil, and she's done it very well. I think she would be a very, very good Victoria Winters. I think that she's very versatile. I think that she could have the look with the dark hair,
mm-hmm.
and I, my number one pick for Victoria Winters would be Natalie Dormer.
Mm.
How about you?
There's a character I have in my story named Kiki Collins, and
Uh huh.
when I visualized her, I kept looking for actresses because a former one of my former high school teachers, I was describing Victoria or Kiki to her, and she said, "Well, she sounds dark and mysterious." And I found this German actor picture of this German actress named Lisa. I'm probably going to butcher her last name, Vicari, but and I shouldn't talk because people butcher my name. But uh, to me, she would be a good Victoria Winners. But to me,
Huh?
for a more known, I'm going to go a little more known. I think because she's young, she's like 21, but she would be a really good Victoria. But to give a little more known actress who I wouldn't mind is Daisy Ridley, the girl who's playing Ray.
That's Ray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind her because she seems very versatile, and
Right.
again, I feel not enough. I, I'm like you. I'm a horror fan at heart. Not an,
Right.
we're not getting. I wish we would get more younger. And I know Andy Matichek is young, but
Right.
I wish we would get more young actresses into horror and just hold on to them. Like don't let them go.
Right. Right. Don't let them branch out.
Right. I'm kidding, but um, that I guess that would be my pick. If who would you cast as Barnabas?
Um, I really like. I think that Benedict Cumberbatch would be a great Barnabas because
Mm,
the British accent. He's got that really deep, foreboding voice. I think Benedict Cumberbatch would be a good Barnabas. He would probably be my number one pick. He's got that pale white skin that would be vampiric in nature, and he would be my pick for Barnabas. I know he's been in a lot of things, and he's been in everything, but I think that he would be a really great Barnabas.
That is a great pick, my man.
And definitely the English accent, because Barnabas always says that he's from England,
Right.
but he never has an English accent most of the time. So I think that would be very, very fitting, and I think he and Natalie Dormer would, just looking at them together, I think that would be a good match, for some good interplay between them.
I'm gonna give a friend of mine's choice because he recommended him, and I'll give my choice. A friend of mine years ago said Christian Bale, and this was right after I saw American Psycho, and I said, yeah, he would be the right choice. And then he did Batman, and then he said, but he did an interview where he said, I will never do horror again, and you know what? He stuck to that. He hasn't. So I told my one friend, I said, listen, man, he ain't ever coming back. I said,
no.
he ain't
gone
doing
to
horror.
other things.
But I would have to say Adam Driver. I hate to keep going back to Star Wars. Would definitely be a good Barnabas. Don't mind my phone.
Yeah, Julie, it's Mommy. We still have time to pay that bill. It didn't have to be paid tonight, did it? If not, that's good. Just make sure we pay it tomorrow. The money's in the bank, so I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, love you. Good night. Bye.
And I'm not good at editing that stuff out either, but so that'll probably make this.
Oh, it's all right. Hey, it's in Dark Shadows fashion.
Right.
Things like that happen.
Blooper.
So
Blooper.
We'll just keep it in the spirit. There you go. Blooper reel.
I appreciate the understanding, man. Is there a character you wouldn't want brought back for DS?
I'm trying to think of a long-term character, because there's a few short-term characters like Sky Rumson that I guess was pretty well useless. I would have to say, let's see, not Jason McGuire, because he was important in bringing Willie Loomis to Collinwood. Oh my goodness, I would think probably. Okay, this is going to be a little controversial. I would kind of be okay if Maggie Evans wasn't in it. I mean, as an important and big of a character that, she was in the original show, I thought she was great. She, like in the 1991 series, I mean, there really wasn't much that she did. And one thing that the 1991 series did that I really, really loved was where they paralleled Josette with Victoria rather than Josette with Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that aspect of the story better. So if Maggie Evans wasn't involved in the show, I wouldn't be really disappointed and feel like we've missed a whole lot. And that's definitely not a shot at Catherine Lee Scott, because Catherine Lee Scott is awesome. And but I mean, as far as the character of Maggie Evans, I would be okay if she wasn't involved. And the weight of the ingenue, the female role, fell on Victoria rather than Maggie.
I got your back on the Catherine Lee, Maggie Evans thing. Here's the thing to this. Post Alexandra Moltke, post Victoria Winters, all they did with Maggie was bring her into the house and make her the governess. And really, it just felt like a forced thing. I mean, it was like out of nowhere for that character. Whereas what I did love in the revival, they made her like a medium. Like
Right.
I was like, holy shit, that was good. I wish they would have did that in the '60s.
Right. Right.
But I'm with you. They just with her character, like long term, it wasn't the what they did in the beginning or even in the middle. It was they had no long term plan for Maggie, and
Right.
I feel that's what her. It's sort of like I like Joe Haskell, but when you saw Joe Haskell leave when he got committed, you never saw him again. So there was always
Right.
room for him to come back. And then my thing is, okay, where Joe was always searching for Maggie when Barnabas took her, and he never gave up. Where was like why didn't they play Maggie that way?
Right.
Why didn't she not give up on Joe? Why didn't she? I wish they would have more had her wait for Joe, and you could have had her visiting Joe at the asylum at Wincliffe. They could have
Right.
did that instead of putting her in the great house.
Hmm.
But
Right. I agree completely. I just felt like that was just a really odd choice to make because the feelings there definitely weren't reciprocated.
I would say the most useless character, the one I would never bring back, would be Harry Johnson. Ever,
Oh yeah.
ever.
Oh yeah. See, that makes sense because I completely forgot about him. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. He was pretty terrible. He yeah, I couldn't wait for him to get off there.
And that's not really
So
the actor's fault. That's just the way he was written. It's like
exactly, exactly.
it's like all of a
That's
sudden,
exactly right.
not there's a knock on the door. Mrs. Johnson has a nephew. It's like I really don't care, dog. Like
Very true. Yeah, he was a disappointment. I mean, to people watching the show, and I think to Miss Johnson in general. So
yeah.
yeah, he was just a disappointment inside the TV show and out. Definitely.
If they get into parallel time, you mentioned parallel time. If they do a parallel, if they come back with Dark Shadows with parallel time, what what are you maybe wanting to see out of that aspect of it?
Evil Victoria Winters.
Oh, nice, nice.
Definitely Evil Victoria Winters. I like I said, I started watching the show. It was when my first year in high school. We had only had cable um, in our town for about a year, and we had the Sci-Fi Channel. And I started watching Parallel Time, so I watched all the way through to the end from Parallel Time on, and then when the beginning started over, I mean, it was a completely different show, and uh, I watched. I like Victoria, and I think that it would have been good to bring her. I wish that they could have brought her back for Parallel Time, but that's something if they ever did Parallel Time in a new Dark Shadows TV series, that would be number one on my list to see because I would love to see um, a different take on her, just like Hoffman. For the most part, she was one of the heroes of the show. She and Barnabas, and I liked seeing Evil Hoffman. Um, I thought that was really cool. And on the flip side, you got to see good Angelique,
Hmm.
Alexis. So I think seeing Evil Victoria Winters would be a cool thing.
I'm definitely like for parallel time. I would like to see a just a whole new flip of the town and the estate itself. Maybe one of them come back and there's just the old house. There's no great house, because parallel time things change. I think
Exactly.
you could have so many things with Dark Shadows. Maybe there's just one house, or there's no town. Something. I'm with you. Like the evil Victoria would be a big thing. I think definitely for any character. But what's something? Is there any? Would you want them to bring Quentin back or no?
I would be okay with it if it was done well. I I like Quentin as the werewolf, but I guess I preferred him. I liked him as the ghost. Um, and I think if they could do it well, I would be all for it. I heard a lot of people say that they would like what was his name, Richard Armitage, to play Quentin, like he was a werewolf in what was the show Hemlock Grove, I think. Um, I would be okay with that, but um, I love David Selby, but I guess Quentin was never really one of my favorite characters. I mean, it was cool seeing him as the Master of Collinwood in Parallel Time, but if he was not brought in, I guess I wouldn't be terribly disappointed, um, especially as the main character driving the show. Um, but I don't know. I guess I feel a little bit lukewarm about Quentin myself.
I think if Quentin, for me, either if you have Quentin, you need to have Quentin for a reason. And really, it, the biggest problem with the two, like the werewolf thing in the 60s, was you have Chris, but then you have his, you have Quentin. You have one werewolf who can't change because of a painting, and one who is changing. And I feel
Right,
that was the confliction of, okay, why do you have two of them now together? And they got into the Leviathan arc and all that. So
right,
to me, if you do have a Quentin, you need to just have Quentin, not Quentin and Chris. And I think that's the biggest. I think that was the biggest sort of where I went, you have, and I like Quentin. I'm with you. I like David Selby, but I love Don Brisket too. And I'm going,
oh yeah,
it's like you have two really good actors, and you have them in a sense doing the same role almost.
mm.
So
Yeah. It felt a little too similar.
yeah,
Definitely felt a little too similar. So thank God for Bruno that just I liked how he definitely was one that tried to kill off Chris, and uh, yeah, I can't think of anybody that I could think of would be a good Bruno, but I would like to see a good Bruno Hess character return to Collinwood, because Michael Strocco was fantastic. I loved him. Man, that hair!
I'll
Oh
tell you,
my gosh,
I'll tell
that was
you,
some fierce hair.
I'll give you an actor, and I'm trying to think of his name, but I can't. If you've ever seen the show Gotham,
Uh-huh.
the guy that played the Penguin, Cobblepot, would be a good. I can't. I don't have the actor's name in my head, but I can see his
Uh-huh.
face. But
Uh-huh.
he would be a
Yeah,
good
I've
one.
I've not watched the show. I have the first season on DVD, but I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, I'll have to look up his face and look at him later and see how that would see what he looks like.
He would
So that
definitely
that sounds interesting.
he would definitely be one I would put as like an assassin or somebody who's gonna kill somebody, because it's like this. He looks like he's gonna kill somebody in Gotham. But so is there? I'm trying to think of something good, a good question to ask you to end this with Ghost in the Shell and Dark
Sure.
Shadows. But I do
Okay.
have one question each for you. I do believe here. My final
Okay.
Ghost in the Shell question for you is: if they have any character, is there? Oh, sorry, jumble of words. Is there any character you don't like, main character you don't want to see on Ghost in the Shell?
Oh, you're talking about the new series?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My bad.
Oh no, that's fine. Let me see. Mm, I guess I'm gonna have to go back to the villains, and I would say the Laughing Man.
Hmm.
I thought he was good in what in the part that he was in. Um, but I would probably say the Laughing Man.
I'm with you on the villain should be new. I'm with you. The one
Hmm.
I'm gonna give two characters I don't want from a protagonist standpoint, and I'm probably gonna get eaten alive for these two. is Borma and actually Saito, because simply for the fact I thought Pazu was the better character. I thought,
Oh yeah,
uh, just in my opinion, you know what I mean. I don't have nothing against those characters, mind you. I just thought
right,
Pazu was more the interesting one. So that's my pick for who I don't want to see come back.
right,
But is if they announce the Dark Shadows movie tomorrow, not that they will, we hope they would, but
right, right.
who would you want to direct it?
Oh, oh, that's a good question. Who would I want to direct it? Um, Let me see. Okay, I know, and I know this is going to sound like I'm saying something mean, but definitely not Ryan Johnson, because I did not like the way he did the Last Jedi. Um, let's see. I would actually be and okay, and here's a link to Ghost in the Shell. I would be okay if Rupert Sanders
Mm,
made it. I think that he's very very visually intuitive. I think he can definitely create atmosphere. I think he's great at at telling a story. I would be okay with Rupert Sanders directing the movie. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think of who else. Um, I guess I would have to think a little bit more on that. Um, but Rupert Sanders would be one of the first people that comes to my mind. But also, I wouldn't mind an unknown person as long as they appreciated and respected the source material and
mm,
really set out to make something that's really good. Um, and even if it was an unknown, a brand new person, as long as they understood and respected the source material, unlike to bring Seth Grahame-Smith up again, I think he only watched a little bit of the show and um, just watched it through eyes of camp,
mm.
and that's how he created his script. And I think somebody that respects the show for what it is, um, I would be all for it. And actually, it would be kind of interesting, I think, to get a new independent filmmaker
Mm.
to tackle Dark Shadows. I think that could be a great angle to take as well.
I think a young director would be a good idea if they had their heart set on it. You know, if it wasn't something just assigned to them or forced. I'm with you
Right,
on that. The one I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna pick two. Uh, my pick would be Marcus Dunstan. I'm a huge fan of his work, the Saw
uh,
sequels and the Collector series, just what he's done with it. And I know he's making a third one. And people are going to
right,
point to the gore he does, but if you go watch his films, it's not mindless or senseless. There's a method to the madness.
right.
So I'm not saying he would, be in favor of doing one. I would hope he would be, but that would be my one pick. My one other pick, I'm gonna pick, and I love him to death because of what he's done so far, is Jordan Peele. Just the stuff he's done so far has not, I've not been disappointed yet. So
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, he's very very much definitely up and coming. Now, I was not very crazy about the movie Us. I thought Get Out was better, but I mean,
mm-hmm.
I can definitely understand, and I know a lot of people really liked Us, um, but I think he could definitely put a good spin on it.
I
Yeah, I think he would be good.
I haven't seen Us yet. I've seen Get Out, and Get Out was really. But I watched some of the Twilight Zone stuff he did, and I thought it was both really good.
Oh, I
Um,
haven't watched that yet.
I will not spoil the ending for you because it is worth it. I will not.
Okay, super.
I will not spoil. Trust me, you. I think you're good. Your mouth will drop once you see what everyone else has seen. But I just want to thank at I_Barnabas for joining me. I'm going to leave a link in the description to his channel. He's Mag81. I am correct about that, right?
Yeah, 1981. Yeah.
Yep, okay. And man, I want to thank you so much for joining me. It was a
Oh,
pleasure
thank
having
you
you
for
on.
having me.
Oh, you're
I
welcome, man.
I love it, and anytime you want me back, I'm up for it. That sounds great. Thank you so much.
I'll definitely have to get you back on. Maybe we'll have to discuss some Halloween or something.
Oh, that would be great.
So
I would
definitely, I
love it.
will. I usually, I bring another friend of mine on, Daniel Culver. So I will definitely be bringing you back on, man, for sure. I'll keep in touch with you.
All right.
Um,
Thank you so
through I know
much.
you're more through Twitter than Facebook, so through Twitter. but
Okay.
but because my other friend, he's through Facebook and Twitter. I get him like twice as much. So um, life's crazy, man. You know this. Um,
Oh yeah.
but thank you again for joining me. It was fun. Thanks,
Oh
man.
yeah. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.